Imagine sunlight spilling across velvet curtains, birds singing outside your window. Today, you awaken not as yourself, but as royalty. This is your life as a Disney princess, soft, magical, and filled with wonder. Let the dream begin. You awaken to quiet warmth and a soft hush that feels like a secret. The room is dim and golden, lit by lace curtains that hold the morning light like gentle hands. Your pillow is cool at the edge and warm in the center, and your blankets are smooth, heavy, and safe. For a long moment, you simply breathe and listen. Somewhere beyond the window, a bird is trying new songs. Somewhere down a corridor, someone laughs once, then whispers. The castle is awake, and you are its heart. You lift your hand and see it is steady. There is a tiny gleam on your ring finger, not a jewel, but a sliver of sun. It makes your skin glow. You flex your fingers in the beam and watch the light slide like silk. Your hair spills over the sheet in calm waves. A single strand tickles your cheek, and you brush it back in a slow, absent motion that feels like it has belonged to you forever. The bed is larger than your old dreams. 4 carved posts rise like trees, and a pale canopy floats above you, painted faintly with stars. When you breathe, the canopy trembles, and the stars seem to ripple. The scent here is a blend of lavender, polished wood, and the bright cold of early morning. Somewhere a clock counts in a soft, patient way. No one hurries you. No one needs you to be faster than your own breath. You turn your head toward the balcony. The curtains billow, teasing in and out like waves greeting shore. Beyond them lies a small world that belongs to you. You do not jump from bed. You do not rush the moment. You let the feeling grow, the gentle tide of knowing. Today you wake as a princess, not a stranger, not a mask. A true self that is calm and brave and kind. In this life, everything begins with care. You sit up, the sheets sigh. The floor is far away for a second, then near. You place your feet in soft slippers, waiting like 2 clouds beside the bed. The rug welcomes you with a quiet fluff of warmth. You rise and the dress you wore to sleep falls around you like a whisper. It is not grand. It is simple and clean, the color of milk with a blush of dawn. You smooth it with your palms and feel the fabric answer, cool at first, then warm to your touch. The mirror by the wardrobe has a frame of vines and tiny birds. When you stand before it, it does not judge, it reflects. There you are. Your eyes are rested and gentle. Your mouth is curious and kind. You tilt your head and watch a golden thread of light trace your cheek. You do not rush to be perfect. You do not chase anything. You let your reflection be your friend. You walk to the balcony and draw the curtains apart with 2 light pulls. Morning pours in like music. The sky is a porcelain blue washed with soft white. The far hills are glazed with mist. Below, the courtyard stirs. A baker crosses with a tray held high. A stable hand leads a gray horse in a slow circle, its hooves a steady rhythm. Somewhere in the garden, a fountain starts to sing. The air carries the smell of warm bread, early roses, and a hint of rain that does not plan to fall. You lean on the balcony rail. It is cool stone, smoothed by time and touch. You can see the outer wall, the gatehouse, the banners nodding in the mild breeze. They carry your emblem, a simple crest that means shelter. It makes you think of safe hands and open doors. When the breeze lifts your hair, you close your eyes and let it move through you. The world feels large and near at once. A knock comes like a soft echo. You turn and say, "Come in." The door opens just enough, and a kind face appears, framed by a tidy cap. "Good morning, Your Highness," she says, voice light like a bell with velvet on it. "Breakfast is ready when you are." Tea waits by the hearth, and out she goes, as gentle as she came, leaving the air sweeter than before. By the hearth a small table has been set with quiet care. A teapot that glows like pearl, 2 cups, a plate of fresh fruit, a dish of honey, and a basket of rolls that still remember the oven. You pour tea and watch the steam curl like soft ribbon. You add milk and honey, and the color turns warm as toasted cream. The first sip is calm. It tastes like the patient part of morning. You carry your cup to the window seat and tuck your legs under you. The cushion hugs back. You break a roll, and the crust crackles, then gives way to a cloud of soft bread. Butter melts with a happy sigh. You eat slowly. You are not hiding from the day. You are greeting it, gift by gift. Your mind wanders in small circles that make sense. What will you do? Who will you see? You think of the garden. You think of the library. You think of the music room where the harp waits with long silver strings. There is no rush to decide. You set your cup down and rest your cheek on the window frame. Outside, the horse lifts its head and looks toward the sky as if listening with you. The wardrobe opens with a touch. Inside, gowns hang like a row of quiet mornings, colors of dew, rose, sky, moss, moonlight. You run your fingers along them and feel the stories they hold. Today you choose something soft and easy, a dress the blue of a calm lake, with sleeves that flutter when you breathe. You step into it and it falls perfectly, as if it remembers you. You tie a ribbon at your waist, smooth the skirt, and feel ready without weight. On the dressing table, a small brush waits beside a gentle comb. You brush your hair in long, slow strokes until it shines like water. You gather a few strands and twist them loosely, pinning them with tiny pearl pins that catch the light like quiet stars. You touch your ear. You choose simple earrings, small drops that chime softly when you turn your head. The sound is your secret bell. There is a little wooden box near the mirror. Inside, folded on lavender, is a ribbon you wore once when you were brave enough to sing in the garden after a storm. You remember the way the leaves shone and the way the rainwater made a silver path along the stones. You smile and tie the ribbon on your wrist, a reminder of courage that looks like grace. You open the door to the corridor. It stretches like a river of light, inlaid with warm wood and pale stone. Sun falls through high windows in squares you can step inside and out of, like gentle ponds. Tapestries line the walls, telling stories of old kindness. A girl sharing bread with a fox. A boy planting a tree that will shade a bench he will never sit upon. A queen holding out her cloak to shield a child from a sudden rain. You walk slowly, your steps soft, your skirt whispering. People pass and nod. They greet you with eyes that are glad to know you. "Morning, Highness," says a steward with ink on his finger. He holds a ledger like a friend. "Good day, Princess," sings a maid carrying a stack of folded linens that smell of sun. A page hurries by with one shoelace untied, but he slows as he reaches you, remembers to breathe, ties the lace, and beams at his own care. At a small arch you pause. Beyond it lies the old tower. A spiral stair curves within, smoothed thin at every step by centuries of feet. You place your palm on the stone and feel it cool and true. You know you will climb it, but not yet. You follow another corridor to the morning room, where the light falls wide and gentle. In the morning room, a tray waits with more tea and a note. The paper is thick and soft to the finger. The ink is brown and warm. It says, "Whenever you wish, the gardener will bring the first roses to your room. He knows which ones smell like honey and which ones smell like rain." You close your eyes and see the garden in your mind. You see paths that curve like smiles. You see bees bumping the air like little boats. Your day feels simple and open. You sit at the writing desk and lift the lid of a small box. Inside are letters you wrote to yourself when the nights were longer. You used to worry that morning might not feel safe. You used to wonder if you could carry the crown of your own name. You read a line from a letter written in a neat, hopeful hand. Be patient with your heart. It is new to being unafraid. You place the letter back and press your hand to your chest in a quiet promise. A bell rings far away, a soft note that drifts like a feather. It means the kitchen's finished their morning rush, that the bakers can breathe, that the first pies are cooling. You imagine the heat rising like a gentle cloud, the tops shining like glaze, the smell of cinnamon honeying the air. You have never seen the kitchen at this hour. You decide you will visit it one day and thank the hands that feed the castle. The thought makes your breakfast sit even more kindly in your belly. You stand and go to the door that leads to the private chapel. It is small, meant for quiet, meant for peace. Inside, the air is cooler. There are candles waiting for a match, and a bowl of clear water that reflects the window like a little sky. You do not have a long prayer. You have a short one. You say, "Thank you for letting me be gentle." You dip your finger into the water and touch your forehead. The coolness centers you, like a stone that knows the river. When you return to your room, a small tray has arrived with a sprig of mint and a folded note. The note is from the head seamstress. She writes to say she mended a hem you had not noticed needed care. You smile, touched by the way people here know how to help before help is asked. You make a mental note to visit her with cookies, the big kind with soft edges and small sugar crystals that crunch like tiny stars. You gather a little notebook from your bedside table. The cover is soft leather, the color of warm tea. Inside it, you write gentle lists, not chores, wishes, not demands, invitations. Today you write, sit with the roses, learn the harp's first lullaby, walk the east corridor and count the windows. Tell someone they make the day brighter. Leave a kindness where only the heart will know who gave it. You tuck the notebook into a pocket hidden in your skirt. It feels safe there, like a friendly bird at rest. You take one more sip of tea from the cup you left by the window seat. The tea is cooler now, but still sweet. You breathe in the faint steam and sigh in a way that sounds like readiness. A tiny knock at the door draws your attention. When you open it, a child stands there, hat in hand, hair tidy, eyes wide. He says he has a message from the library. Breathe, smile, and begin your day. You step into the corridor with your notebook tucked close, and the quiet greets you by name. Morning light lays itself across the floor in long, soft rectangles, as if the castle has rolled out rugs of sunshine for your feet. The walls glow with patient polish. The air is warm with bread and cool with stone. You breathe and let the morning carry you forward. Somewhere a clock counts softly, not to hurry you, only to keep time. A bird tests a note and leaves the window open for song. You walk without hurry. This is your hall, but it belongs to many. A steward with ribboned keys inclines his head. A maid with a basket of linens smiles with her eyes. The page from earlier reappears, tidy now, vanishing into a stare like a swallow finding its nest. You touch the railing where oak has been worn silky by many hands. Tapestries tell stories in thread. You stop at the first, a girl offering an apple to a patient deer. Tiny red knots make the fruit shine like berries after rain. The border hides a bird under a vine. You find it with delight, a quiet secret. The next shows winter night, snow stitched with silver, a window glowing amber. A child presses a cup of milk into a guard's surprised hands. The kindness feels like a small fire that never goes out. Portraits line the opposite wall, some formal, some playful, some painted by a hand that loved light more than faces. You pause before a queen with laughing eyes. Her crown looks heavy, but she carries it lightly even in paint. A small plate reads, "She listened first." You whisper hello and hear your whisper settle like a feather. Across the way, a young prince holds a lute with one string neatly knotted. His plate reads, "He mended what he could." Farther along, the corridor opens into a gallery with floors like poured honey and windows tall as dreams. Outside, a gardener lifts a rose as if listening to it sing. You watch the dust in the air turn to soft gold. Your shoulders relax even more, as if you had been holding them up for someone else. At the end of the gallery, a staircase begins to curl behind a carved screen. It is narrow, like a secret stream. You climb, your palm following the rail, your breath slow and even. You pause at a tiny window and look out at a thin slice of sky. You stand with the quiet for a while, joining its calm with your stillness. You reach the East Hall. Stone grows warmer and rose-tinted, as if the hall kept the memory of many sunsets. Tall cabinets sit between the windows, each with glass doors and brass locks shaped like leaves. Inside rest instruments the sizes of stories. A small violin yawns on velvet. A flute lies like a silver branch. A harp taller than you wears its strings like moonbeams. You press your palm to the glass and feel the thought of music settle in your chest. The East Hall leads to a balcony that links towers. A shy breeze gathers your skirts and holds them a moment so you will not forget you are light. You can see stables, vegetable beds in neat squares, and the river with sunlight kneeling on its back. Voices rise from below, a laugh, a good morning, a soft scold toward a dog too pleased with itself. You smile into the air, and the air seems to smile back. Back inside, the walls offer a painted trail of vines and small fruits, colors gentle as tea with milk, a reminder that design can be kind. A door on your left stands ajar. You glance in and find the map room, lit by a circle of windows. A kind librarian with white hair looks up from a rolled chart and beams at you as if the sun has walked in. "Princess," he says, "the atlases would like to show you a shore you have not yet seen." He spreads a linen map stitched with blue and gold. It shows where help moved during a hard year, loaves, blankets, open doors. He lets you trace the stitches with one careful finger. The map feels alive. You thank him and promise to visit again. You continue, letting the hall teach your feet its rhythm. The ceiling rises, carved with shallow arches holding painted skies. Dawn, noon, dusk, and a velvet night with a single bright star you couldn't touch if you were taller. In the alcove, small benches offer rest. On one sits a basket of fresh oranges with a note, "Take one for sweetness." You take an orange and carry it like a small sun. Beyond the map room hangs a curtain of clear glass beads. They tick softly when you pass, like rain that forgot to fall. Inside is a small conservatory, humid and green. Ferns lean toward you like bows. A lemon tree holds fruit and blossoms at once, generous without fuss. A watering can waits with a heart painted on its side. A plaque reads, "Please speak kindly to the herbs." You greet the thyme and basil and mint. Their leaves reply with a brighter scent. You leave the room smiling. Back in the hall, the floor becomes a checker of pale and dark tiles. With every step, a different story rises to meet your foot. A cat appears and walks beside you. Its coat is black with a single white boot. You say good morning. The cat approves of your manners, then slips through a slim door you had not noticed. You laugh softly. The castle can be playful. A turn of the corridor opens to the inner cloister, a garden inside the castle like a heart. A fountain pours without hurry into a pool. Water lilies rest like open hands. Bees hum round songs. An old gardener in a brown coat sits on a bench, eyes closed in peace. You sit at the other end and peel your orange, letting the scent rise like bright bells. He opens one eye, smiling. "The first slice is for the fountain," he says. You place it on the water. It circles once, then glides to the lilies like a tiny boat. You find a stair behind an ivy curtain. The stone is cool, steps shallow and kind. It carries you up to a walkway that sits between roofs, like a bridge between thoughts. From here, you can see city roofs and market awnings beginning to bloom with color. The road points toward the horizon like an idea you might follow someday. The bell tower answers the morning with 2 soft chimes. You nod back as if you understand its language. A door from the walkway leads into the music room, where the harp you admired waits with strings like quiet rain. A teacher is there, a gentle woman with long fingers and a longer patience. She bows and invites you to sit. She places your hands not with fuss, but with confidence, as if reminding you of something your heart already knew. The first note is a tremble, then a glow. The second is a thread that wants to tie itself to memory. You play 3 slow notes, and the room listens kindly. You thank her for the lesson. Back in the hall, you carry the feeling of strings in your fingertips. The sensation is a friendly echo. You pass a window and see 2 swans drawing crescents in the moat. A child on the bridge tosses crumbs, each fall a tiny ceremony of trust. You wave once. The child waves back with both hands, as if nothing else matters. You reach a door carved with a single word, quiet. Inside is a room that understands reading. Chairs that fit the back, lamps with wide, thoughtful shades, a table with pencils in a jar, a shelf of storybooks with titles like Remembered Paths. You choose a thin book with a soft green cover and read 1 page. You close your eyes and let it sink like a pebble in a still pond. The story changes your breathing. You leave a note tucked in the book's pocket. Thank you for the calm. The hall bends and returns you to the main spine of the castle. A new scent meets you there. Thyme, butter, warm stone. The kitchens are close. You follow the smell and step into a wide room bright with copper and steam. Pies cool by an open window. The cook, flower on her cheek, greets you as if she has known you since your first morning. You thank her for breakfast and for every small patience. She wraps a sweet roll in a napkin embroidered with a tiny crown and presses it into your hands for your walk. At the threshold, you find a mirror hung without a frame. It reflects you without fuss. Your hair has loosened into softer waves. Your eyes carry the sheen of windows and water and string. You tell your reflection softly, you are doing well. Your reflection believes you. Everything feels simple, gentle, and exactly right. You return to the main corridor, where light has moved to draw new rugs of day. You notice details you missed before. A crack shaped like a lightning bolt. A scuff like a small bird in flight. A patch of plaster whiter than the rest where someone once fixed what needed a second chance. A candlestick's wax is fresh, someone planned for evening. Somehow that makes morning feel complete. You arrive again at the gallery of windows. The gardener stands with eyes closed, smelling a rose. He senses you and holds the bloom toward you without picking it. "Honey," he says. You lean closer. "Rain," he says, lifting another. The last is sunlight on linen. You laugh because he is right. He tucks a single fallen petal into your palm, a permission to carry the garden with you. You walk on, and the hall opens to the great stair. It sweeps down in a curve like a long exhale. From above, the chandelier looks like a cluster of captured mornings. You descend slowly, your hand on the rail, each step a note in a gentle song. At the foot of the stair stands the young page with tightly tied laces. He bows and shows you his proper knots. "Very fine," you say. "Tie them again when you are bored, and you will always have a small success." Beyond the stair, the hall leads to the main doors, tall and carved with vines, now open to the day. You stop at the threshold, feeling the place where inside becomes outside. It is a friendly edge. It says, "Go on," and it says, "Come back." A guard holds the door with quiet gentleness so the breeze will not shove. He nods to you, a ceremony of two. You think of the village ahead, cobbles, bakeries, flower sellers whose buckets shine like lakes. Your apple sits warm in your palm. Your notebook is safe in its pocket. Before you step out, you look back down the hall you have walked. Sunlight, portraits, tapestries, the curve of the stair, the promise of music, the hum of kitchens, the hush of pages, the friendly echo of your steps. The castle has spoken to you in many small tongues, and you have answered not with grand speeches, but with eyes and hands and breath. You cross the threshold. The doors breathe behind you. The courtyard receives you with cheerful stone. The day opens, wide and kind. The halls linger in your heart like a soft chorus saying, "We are with you wherever you go." And so you go, carrying the castle's quiet light toward the village, certain that when you return, the rugs of sunshine will be waiting, and your footsteps will still sound like turning pages. Now gravel murmurs under your slippers as you begin to walk. The path is bordered by low lavender that brushes your skirt with a polite hello. Butterflies test the light like soft hands pressed to a window. The sun climbs a little higher, and the shadows yawn and move. Somewhere a gardener snips and hums an old tune about clear skies and clear hearts. You pass a bed of pale pink roses, their petals cupped like secrets, their scent round and warm. Next to them, a row of white peonies leans in full bloom, heavy with their own softness. When a breeze wanders by, they bow and rise like a friendly crowd. You pause and lift a petal that has fallen to the path. It is thinner than paper and still smells like light. You set it on the palm of your hand and let the air take it where it wishes to go. Beyond the roses, a narrow lawn opens, smooth as ribbon. Stone bench, elm tree, 2 footprints of shade. You sit and feel the stone trade its night cool for day warm. A blackbird lands nearby and tips its head, glossy eye catching a piece of the sky. You say hello. The bird answers with a small phrase that sounds like a quiet question. You speak softly back, knowing the garden keeps your words safe. Farther on, an herb knot grows in tidy shapes, spirals of thyme, diamonds of sage, a tiny cross of rosemary braided with mint. Little wooden labels lean in the soil, each with a hand-drawn leaf beside the name. You rub a sprig between finger and thumb. The scent rises clean and brave. You think of soups and stories, of cups of evening tea that make the mind unclench. A watering can rests by the path, dented and proud, as if it has seen many summers and kept them all. A gate of copper wire stands open to a walled orchard. Inside, trees carry their fruit like lanterns, apricots with velvet cheeks, small pears the color of gentle moss, apples painted with shy blush. A ladder leans against a branch that has bowed from kindness. A young gardener waves, hair tucked behind one ear, hands full of sunlight and twine. "Want to taste the first of the season?" he asks. You nod. He twists a pear with a soft, practiced touch and wipes it on his sleeve. It is cool in your hand and sweet along the edge where your teeth break the skin. Juice runs down your wrist like a small, happy river. You laugh and catch it with your thumb. You thank him and trade a story for the fruit. You tell him how the cat with white boots escorted you down a hall. He laughs, having met the same cat, certain it knows all the secret doors. He lifts his basket and promises to leave peaches at your window when the afternoon leans toward gold. You promise to send warm cookies to the orchard at dusk. The exchange feels right, like two stones placed well in a path. Beyond the orchard lies a maze of low hedges. The pattern is kind, not a trap, only a gentle puzzle that makes the feet slow down and the eyes notice. You follow turns that lead to small surprises, a shell tucked into moss, a tiny bell hanging from a branch, a bowl of clear water with a lemon slice floating in it like a small sun. A sign says, "For thirsty birds and travelers." You smile at being both. You dip your fingers and feel the water forgive the heat. The maze opens at a round pond. Lily pads float like green plates for the sky. Frogs sit like guardians with patient faces. Dragonflies pass with the speed of thoughts that will not stay. At the edge of the pond stands a willow. Its long hair touching the water as if listening. You slip under its curtain and find a quiet there that the rest of the world cannot reach. You breathe. You hear your own heart counting like a soft drum. From the willow, a path of flat stones crosses the pond. You step out carefully, arms a little wide for balance, the way you used to walk in dreams where the floor might turn to clouds. Each stone is steady. Each step is enough. In the center, you stop and look down. Your face is a painting in the water, bent a little by the moving skin of the pond. A ripple passes and your smile becomes many small smiles, as if your joy could be shared out to the fishes. On the far side, the path threads through a patch of wildflowers that refuse to behave. The gardener let them keep their stubbornness, and now the place sings. Cornflowers, poppies, foxgloves, a scatter of daisies like freckles on summer. Bees dance in equations only they understand. A child has left a little woven crown on a stump. You place it on your head for a moment and feel your mood lift half an inch higher. A stone stair climbs a gentle hill within the garden wall. You follow it to a belvedere, open on three sides, roof held by pale pillars. The view lifts your heart without effort. The village roofs wear their colors. The far hills turn from morning blue to day green. The river glides in its good patience. You rest your hands on the railing and count breaths until thought thins out and only seeing remains. A bell chimes noon from somewhere inside the castle, softened by leaves. It brings a small procession, 2 footmen carrying a basket, a maid with a folded tablecloth, and a little jug in a cradle of napkins. "Picnic, Your Highness," the maid says, eyes shining at the simple joy of it. They set the cloth, Pull from the basket things that make the mouth happy: cold slices of herb pie, a small bowl of tomatoes glossy as rubies, goat cheese rolled in cracked pepper, and a loaf of bread that still sighs when cut. There is a jar of pickles that smell like memory, and a dish of olives that taste like old stories told under a moon. You eat a little of each, slow and grateful. A honeybee arrives to check the jam and leaves satisfied, as if your thanks were a language it understood. When the picnic ends, you send the leftovers to the gardener's shaded bench. You set 2 cookies aside for the cat and slide them into your pocket like promises. Alone again, you cross a narrow bridge over a channel where water runs low and clear. Small fish try on shadows and discard them. At the bridge's end, a statue of a fox rests in the ivy, ears pricked, eyes keen. Someone has tucked a flower behind one ear. You add a second. The fox looks ready for a quiet party. You come to the glass house, its panes clean as early frost, its frame a web of good iron. Warmth greets you like an embrace. Inside, a slow jungle keeps a soft conversation going. Oranges sparkle in a pot as if they were jewels mistaken for fruit. A fig tree glows at the edges where light catches its leaves. A shelf holds seed packets labeled by hand. Moonflower, night-scented stock, love in a mist. The head gardener appears in a shade hat, her smile lined with years of weather and laughter. She speaks your name as if it were a kind herb. You ask about the jasmine you were promised. She brings a small terracotta pot with 1 tender stem and 2 glossy leaves. It looks like a promise that knows its strength. You promise to tend it. She teaches you how much water is enough and how much is too much. She shows you how to listen to the soil with the tip of a finger. You try. The soil says thank you for asking. You carry the little pot out into the garden, holding it the way one holds a story at the best part. There is a corner of the garden fenced with pale wood, a school for small gardeners. Low beds hold strawberries, carrots, and green beans climbing small ladders of string. Children's handprints in bright paint run along the fence like a procession. A teacher with a crown of curls asks if you would like to help with today's lesson. You nod, and she hands you a trowel no longer than your forearm. Together you show how to lift a strawberry without bruising its pride. Little faces lean close, eyes like clear marbles, mouths open the way a window opens to breeze. After class, a little girl offers you a crooked daisy chain. It is uneven and perfect. You wear it on your wrist. A boy with a serious brow asks if you are really a princess. You crouch until your eyes meet his. "I am a person who gets to help," you say. His brow unties itself. He nods as if this answers a larger question and runs off to build a fort from pea vines and ideas. The sun softens to afternoon. Shadows lengthen like songs that know where to end. You walk the long border where tall flowers grow in layers. Foxglove bells, larkspur spires, delphinium towers. A thin path lets you move between them so the whole border becomes a room with roof of bees. You lift your hands and let them skim the edges of petals. Your fingertips collect scent the way a page collects ink. Near the far wall is a door small enough to be a dare. You try the latch. It opens to a ribbon of path along the outside of the garden. Wild hedgerow to the left, stone to the right, sky leaning over both like a friend who hears everything. The hedgerow carries the world in pieces. Bird song burrs that stick to cloth. A tangle of blackberry canes rehearsing sweetness. You pick one dark berry and let it stain your tongue with summer. The path ends at a low gate that opens into a meadow kept just tame enough to count as part of the grounds. Grass sways in long green breaths. White butterflies take the air slow as snow pretending it is warm. You lie down, careful of your skirt, and watch clouds move like ships who forgot to rush. Your hands rest on your ribs and feel the rise and fall, a sea you know by heart. The meadow smells of honey and hay and something like bread that does not need an oven. You could sleep here, but a breeze brings the sound of a distant cart on the road and reminds you the day is wide. You sit up and brush the meadow from your sleeves. In the distance, the village church bell marks the hour with a soft dignity. You feel ready for streets and faces and voices. You retrace your steps to the garden and find the gate back into the castle court. On the way, you stop by a barrel of rainwater and float the daisy chain from your wrist. It turns, and you whisper, "Carry this calm where it is needed." At the garden door, the young gardener from the orchard meets you with a small crate lined with moss. Inside lies a nest of peaches, their skins blushing like secrets. "For your afternoon," he says, "you trade him the cookies." He pretends to protest, then accepts with the joy of a child who still lives in every grown person. You tuck one peach into your pocket beside the cookies and lift the crate carefully. You leave the garden through the arch where you began. The roses hum. The fountain nods. Behind you lies stillness you can carry. Ahead waits the village, awake and kind. You pause once to press your palm to the warm stone of the wall, as if signing your name as you pass. Then you step toward the open gate, your skirt writing soft lines on the day. The road into the village curves like a friendly arm, guiding rather than pushing. Trees on either side make a dappled shade that moves in easy patterns across your dress and the crate in your hands. A sparrow rides the air beside you and drops away with a cheerful flick. You breathe in dust, clover, and the warm ghost of the peaches you carry. The sound of town grows from a quiet rumor to a gentle chorus. Carts, voices, a dog with opinions, a hammer tapping its steady thought. At the first cottage, a woman beats a rug with the grace of a drummer. She stops and laughs, hair escaping its scarf, cheeks rosy from work and mourning. She nods at your crate. Trade, you grin and offer a peach. She gives you a jar of plum jam settled with a layer of light. The lid clicks like a promise. You tuck it into your basket and promise to return the jar with cookies, because this is how streets make families. Cobblestones greet your feet with the pleasure of honest work. Market Square opens like a book to the best page. Stalls lean together under awnings of red and striped and simple white. The flower sellers' buckets glow with color. Cornflowers like bits of sky, marigolds like captured suns, white lilies with a hush to them. She slips you a sprig of rosemary. "For courage that smells like supper," she says. You tuck it into your ribboned wrist and feel instantly braver in a way that makes you hungry. The baker's stall breathes cinnamon and butter. Trays of small pies glisten with brushed sugar. Behind them, loaves stand round-shouldered and proud. The baker himself has flour on his eyebrow like a bright thought he forgot to wipe away. "Princess," he says with a grin, "do you still dip bread in tea?" You nod, and he wraps a small sweet roll, sliding in a spoon of apple filling as mischief. "No charge," he says, "but tell me when the roses by the south wall bloom their honey scent. I trust your nose. You agree, and your pockets hold another kindness." A fiddle sings from a corner, where a girl with a hat plays for coins and crumbs. Children hop patterns in chalk. A dog sprawls with one eye open and one eye on a dream. The blacksmith's forge breathes with quiet fire. He lifts a horseshoe to the light as if checking it for moon phases. His hands are gentle, even while they hold heat. You walk past the seamstress's shop with its window of neat miracles. A dress on a form turns slowly, not by magic, but by a string tied to a quiet breeze. Inside, a young apprentice works the hem of a school uniform with painstaking pride. You step in and thank her for the mended hem you did not notice. She waves her needle like a wand and shakes her head. "We guard what you do not have to see," she says. "It feels like a vow that covers you from the ankle up." At the square's far side, the bookbinder's door stands open to let the smell of leather and paste make friends with sun. He polishes a corner with a soft cloth and looks up with eyes the color of a well. You run your fingers along a shelf until they stop at a small blank journal. Blue as a pocket sky, the edges gilded as if dawn lived in every page. "For your notes of kindness," he says, and refuses your coins. "Then take this," you say, and leave a peach on his counter like a warm thank you. Beyond the square, the road narrows into lanes that wind between houses with laughing eaves. Laundry lines speak in flags. A cat naps in a window like a liquid shadow. A pair of sisters sit on a step, one braiding the other's hair with the calm of a patient spell. You pause and offer them each a tiny peach from the bottom of the crate, the size of a child's delight. They giggle and thank you and hand you a paper flower they made from their homework margins. It looks like a star that decided to be soft. At the well, the water sings into buckets with a clean voice. You haul up a bucket for an older man and he blesses you with stories. The river that changed its path one spring, the apple tree that grew two kinds of apples after a lightning strike, the night the town square filled with fireflies, so dense it looked like the sky came down to dance. You tuck the stories in your mind's coat pocket, warm all the way home. The school sits at the edge of town, stone bright with chalk drawings. The teacher waves her chalk in greeting and asks if you will read the class a page, since you have the voice of a safe boat. You say yes, and the children gather on floor and bench and windowsill. You read a small story about a mouse who learns to listen to crumbs. The room slows to breath and quiet. When you finish, a boy asks if the mouse was brave. You tell him yes, because listening takes courage most of all. He nods like someone who will practice tonight. Lunch hour spreads its soft blanket over the village. Workers sit on steps. A cobbler lays out bread and olives on a heel of oak. You join the bench of a carpenter and share your peaches. She gives you a wedge of cheese she carved with a chisel that has seen chairs and cradles and a door that finally fit. You eat in good silence, broken only by the phrase, "pass the bread," and the soft sound of mutual gratitude. A gust of playful wind flips your skirt in a gentle hello, and you excuse yourself to visit the river path. On the way, you stop at a small clinic where a midwife and a medic share a room and long days. You ask what they need most. They say time, then smile. Barring that, tea. You promise to send tea, and you will. You leave a peach on their windowsill, and they leave a note in your hand that says, "Thank you for seeing the small bricks that hold the big wall." The river walks beside the town with the patience of something that remembers mountains. Children sail paper boats. An old fisherman untangles a net with the grace of a mathematician. You kneel to the water and dip your fingers. It runs past, cool and sure. A newlywed couple crosses the footbridge. their wrists tied with ribbons so they will learn to turn together. You wave and they wave back, practicing the art of being a pair without losing the play of being two. The far bank holds a row of willows that keep secrets for anyone who asks gently. Under one sits a woman with a basket of mending. She sews a patch onto knees that will soon meet more earth. Her baby sleeps beside her, small fist like a shell. You offer to rock the cradle foot while she strings her needle. She accepts, and you rock the cradle with your slipper toe in the slow rhythm of a low tide. She sighs and says, "It is easier when we are many." You agree because the castle taught you that kindness is a plural word. Back through the square, you find a small commotion at the fountain. A dog has decided the fountain is his new house. Children cheer him on. A boy tries to coax him out with crumbs. The dog declines, proud of his watery estate. You kneel, hold out your hand, and wait. After a long moment, the dog comes to sniff your fingers. You scratch the place behind his ear that makes his back leg thump. He steps down and shakes. Water crowns every head in the first 2 rows. Everyone laughs. You bow to the dog. He accepts your formal courtesy with a proud sneeze. Afternoon grows long and peach-sweet. You visit the weaver's loft where looms hum like hive and rain. She shows you a piece of cloth the color of shadows on snow. "Feel," she says. "It is the weight of a promise that will not leave." You buy a small length to line a box for the jasmine plant. The weaver refuses your coins, so you trade 2 peaches and the promise of a song at the next market morning. She accepts and teaches you the chorus before you go. At the edge of town, the road climbs to a windmill. Its blades turn with patient strength. The miller waves flowery hands and fills a small sack for the castle kitchens, in thanks for last winter's baskets of wood and warm words. You shoulder the sack for the first dozen steps, then a sturdy boy takes it with the pride of a future that knows his name. You thank him and crown him with a willow leaf, because it is the right size for a prince of help. You stop by the tiny chapel, where candles stand like small hopes, with soft backs. You light one for anyone who needs a light they do not have. The flame takes steady as a good friend. Outside, an artist sits with chalks and smooth stones for sale. You choose a stone that fits your palm and a stick of blue chalk. On the stone you draw a little river, careful and slow. Then you blow the extra chalk dust into the day. It hangs like a soft cloud and dissolves into good luck. When the sun tips toward the west, market packs itself like a tent folding, neat and quick. You help tie bundles, carry a crate, stack baskets by size like a gentle puzzle. People say your name as if it tastes like something warm. You feel full from more than food. You feel woven into the town like a thread that did not even know it wanted to join. You turn toward the castle as the sky begins its first blush of evening. A girl runs after you with your own ribbon that slipped from your wrist. She ties it back on, not sure and even. "Thank you for the story about the mouse," she says. "I listened to my brother today, and it worked." You tell her that she is a princess of listening. She skips away with the crown of that sentence lit in her hair. The trees along the road hold the last notes of the day, like a choir that trusts silence. You walk with your crate lighter and your heart even more so. A cart rattles by with sacks of flour and good cheer. The driver lifts his hat. You lift your hand. The road is familiar now and new again in the soft pre-evening light. In the distance, the castle waits, not a wall, but a welcome. You carry village voices inside you. They sound like bells and breakfast. and brave little promises that make a world hold. At the gate, the guard who held the door in the morning nods you through, the politeness of friends who share a threshold. You pause to watch swifts draw patterns above the courtyard. They write a secret text on the sky in loops and lines only the night can read. You breathe, and the day breathes with you. Then you step inside, the road dust a soft memory on your hem, the taste of peaches still bright on your tongue, ready to tell the garden everything you saw. As you walk, you hum the weaver's song, and the road seems to learn the tune. Even the leaves keep time, a soft chorus promising safe return home. Evening has not arrived, but the light has grown thoughtful, the way it does before it learns another color. You set the empty crate by the kitchen door and slip through the courtyard toward the forest path that begins past the old well. The path is not grand. It is a ribbon of dirt with a few stones and the soft memory of rain. A sign reads, "Be kind to small lives." You touch the words as if they were a friend's shoulder. You carry your notebook and a small lantern, unlit for now, more companion than tool. The first trees greet you with that kind of quiet only trees know. Their trunks breathe wood and time. The leaves knit a moving quilt of green above your head. You step slower, because the forest asks for that kind of pace. The air grows cool and damp and sweet. It smells of moss and last year's stories returning to earth. A wren hops along the path, impractical and brave. It keeps just ahead of you as if choosing the way. You thank it. The wren does not answer, but its tail ticks like a clock that trusts you. Ferns uncurl at the edges of the trail like polite waves. You listen and hear water far off, not loud but sure of itself. You keep walking until the sound rounds into a stream you could step across if you didn't mind wet ankles. You do not mind. A flat rock makes a good seat. You sit and soak your feet in the clear run. The cold takes your breath kindly and gives it back new. Tiny fish investigate your toes with the courage of explorers. You laugh and the stream carries the sound forward, a small gift for anyone listening downstream. You write one line in your notebook. Today I walked at the speed of petals falling. It feels true, so you close the book and let the ink dry while the water combs your ankles. A wind stirs from the north and turns a hidden page. You follow it and find a fallen log, soft with moss, a city for small lives. You kneel and look close. Beetles practice being shiny. A snail writes a slow sentence no one will rush to read. Mushrooms lift like tiny umbrellas that believe in rain. You replace the bark gentle as a blanket. The deer trail returns you to the main path near a small rise. At the top stands a wooden sign with a carving of a leaf on one side and a star on the other. It points two ways. Leaf points deeper into green. Star points toward a hill with a view. You choose leaf first because day is still rich and stars will keep their place. Deeper in, the trees stand older and more themselves. One oak holds a lightning scar healed into a smile. A birch has letters cut into its skin by someone long gone, now worn to kind shapes by time's thumb. You place your palm on the birch and say out loud, "May every mark turn gentle." The woods listen and approve with a small shiver of leaves. A fox appears at the path's bend. It studies you with yellow eyes that know jokes. You bow. It inclines its head with grand dignity and moves on, tale a poem about knowing the way. A stump becomes a throne, and you sit as if a crown were only rest. You take out the lantern and, on a whim, light it even though daylight still lives. The tiny flame looks brave in the broad afternoon. The forest changes slightly around that point of light. Shadows soften. Midges dance their patient circles above the flame's small world. You remember the seed in the terracotta pot and imagine it growing, climbing your balcony rail, opening white flowers that make the night smell like a hush that learned to sing. When you part, you walk toward the sound of birds practicing an evening choir. A clearing opens onto a small pond fed by a brook that giggles more than it should. You sit on a rock warmed from a day of generosity and watch swallows sketch lines in the air. You eat the last cookie from your pocket, grateful for earlier you who saved it. A turtle surfaces with the face of an old child. You tilt your head. It tilts its head. Two nods make a conversation that needs no words. The light shifts again. The forest begins to taste like the early edge of dusk. You follow the sign that once pointed star. The hill is steeper than the path suggested, so you climb slow and use your breath as a kind of song. Near the top, a breeze arrives with the smell of hay and distance. You crest the hill and the world opens. The castle stands behind you, a friend's hand on your shoulder. The village cups its small fires and suppers. Beyond, fields roll toward blue. The sky spreads wide and waiting. You sit and let wind touch your face like someone brushing hair from your brow. You write a second line in your notebook. Courage can be quiet as sitting down. A hawk draws a circle below you, then another. It climbs a ladder made of its own patience. You watch until its speck becomes a memory, and the memory becomes an idea you can keep in your pocket for hard days. A cloud pulls thin, and the sun makes late gold on everything at once. It looks like the day remembers every kindness done under it. You feel part of that memory. You feel held by it, the way a story holds the middle when it trusts the end. The first true chill of evening whispers along the grass. You close your notebook and stand. The way down is gentler. A hare starts and stops and starts again, and you mirror it for play. At the base of the hill, an old gate leans into a hedge. You pass through, and the world becomes filtered through leaves again. The lantern feels happy in your hand. You do not light it yet. The path remembers your feet and shows them where root and stone ask for care. You reach the stream again at a place where a long, fallen branch makes a bridge that looks worse than it is. You step, 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 and the branch holds. Halfway across, you pause to look down at your reflection. Evening has lifted soft colors into your face. You look like someone who listened all day. You step to the bank and breathe a thank you for holding. The branch accepts this and adds it to its stories. As the path bends toward the castle edge of the forest, you notice a hollow you did not see before. Inside, a ring of mushrooms stands like a question asked sincerely. You sit near it, not in it, because questions deserve respect. You hum a small tune you learned from the weaver. The tune settles on the hollow like a blanket folded by gentle hands. The mushrooms do nothing, which is their answer, and you accept it with a smile. Not every magic must be loud. Now the light is truly leaving. You light the lantern and the flame builds a tiny room around you that moves with you. You step and a moth visits, changes its mind, and writes a looping word you cannot read. Fireflies wake in uneven constellations. Owls call, and the forest answers with a punctuation you can almost understand. Your feet know home is not far. You choose a last path that passes a stand of young birches. Their white trunks like bright thoughts in the dim. You touch one and promise the future will find you steady. At the edge of the trees, the castle's first lamps bloom against stone. The air smells faintly of supper and soap and something sweet cooling on a windowsill. You leave the forest path and step onto the familiar gravel of the grounds. The lantern circle looks pale beside the lamps, but you keep it lit. It has been your friend and deserves to see the day to its gentle end. In the courtyard, a stable boy leads the grey horse from the morning back into its stall. He strokes its neck with that particular rhythm animals trust. You compliment him on the way his hands speak. He blushes and says that kindness belongs to the animal first, then to him. You tie the lantern to a hook by the well and let it hang a moment, a small moon that the water likes. The cook passes with a tray and steals a breath in the lantern's calm before she keeps moving. You climb the stair to the balcony outside your room. The jasmine pot waits by your door, ready for its first night. You set it on the sill and touch the soil the way the head gardener showed you. The plant is quiet, which is not the same as silent. You understand. You bring it a cup of water and let it drink in small sips. You tell it about the forest. You tell it that stars come when night has earned them. It listens with leaves. Inside your room, you close the door and the sounds of the day draw down like blinds. You set your notebook on the table and read your 2 lines. They look small and enough. You place the lantern on the hearth and let the candle finish itself. Its last light feels like a bow. You change into a dress that knows evening, soft, simple, a color that belongs to late berries and quiet. You open the balcony doors and sit where air can come through. The horizon carries a thread of pink that slowly unspools into violet and then a kind of blue that only exists when the world is half asleep. You rest your feet on the low rail and feel the stone press back, sure and cool. From the village drift music and talk and a single cheer for a pie that turned out better than expected. You cheer for it too, silent and sincere. Stars appear with the politeness of guests who arrive exactly when needed. You count the first 5, then the next 5. A breeze moves the curtain and your hair and the leaves of the jasmine. You close your eyes and listen to the new night. An owl syllable, the faintest hiss of the fountain, your own breath in and out like a boat rocking in a safe harbor. You are tired the way good wood is tired after holding a roof. It is a complete, grateful tired. You stand once more, step into the balcony's quiet edge, and look down at the sleeping garden. The willow leans toward the pond. The roses keep their own counsel. Somewhere a fox trotting the path leaves small diamond shapes written in dust. You touch the jasmine leaves and find them cooler now. You think about the forest ring of mushrooms and how not every question wants an answer tonight. You think about the 2 children and their hedgehog house, and you wish the hedgehog brave dreams and good sleep. You whisper a wish for the wren and the turtle and the patient stump. Wishes spread like soft light. A final wind lifts and sets. You close the doors and draw the curtains, but not all the way. You leave a slice of night for the jasmine, so it can speak to the stars. You slip into bed, the linen cool, and the blanket heavy enough to keep the day from blowing back in. You do not need a story. You have lived one gently. Your body sinks like a pebble to the bottom of a clear pool. Your mind lies down beside it and becomes water, too. On the hinge of sleep, you say a few words that are not a prayer and not a plan. You say, "Let tomorrow be as kind as today, and let me notice." The night keeps this without fuss. The castle breathes its big, careful breath. The village turns its last lights. The forest adjusts its many-shouldered cloak. The stars hold their bright but do not brag. And you, the princess of listening and small courage, fall through a soft door into rest, carrying into your dreams the scent of jasmine that will bloom when the moon remembers to speak. The day wears a satin glow as attendants knock softly and ask if they may prepare you for the evening. You say yes. Their hands move with the grace of people who have practiced kindness into a craft. A bath is drawn with petals that know how to float without trying. Steam curls like quiet handwriting. You sink into the warmth and feel the day loosen its seams. Water slides over your shoulders and gathers at the hollow of your throat. You close your eyes, the world narrows to breath and heat and the faint song of water against porcelain. You press your palms to the tub's edge and thank it for holding you. You rise when you are ready, not a moment before, and the air is cool and friendly. A towel waits like a small cloud, and you stand inside it until the last bead of water has become a memory. On the dressing table, combs and pins rest in tidy rows, not soldiers, but helpers who understand patience. The seamstress has brought a gown packed in tissue as thin as first snow. She lifts the lid and your evening lives there, folded into blue that carries a memory of the deepest sky. She does not hurry you. She invites you to touch. The fabric is soft and steady. It slides like a lake at night. When you step into it, the dress learns your shape and promises to take care. Sleeves skim your arms with a whisper of calm. The bodice holds you as if it has been practicing trust. A hem brushes the floor in a line that feels like a letter you have always wanted to receive. A small mirror sits on a stand. A maid pins your hair in loose spirals that catch light and shadow. She leaves room for movement so you can nod and laugh without worry. She weaves in a thin ribbon, the color of dawn seen from the far edge of sleep. The ribbon lies there as if it always belonged. For jewelry, you choose very little. A single pearl at each ear, a thin bracelet that remembers a promise. You breathe, and the veil of the day becomes evening. Shoes wait near the door. They are soft inside and sure outside. You stand. Everyone steps back to see. Their eyes smile. No one says perfect. They say ready. The word fits you better than any crown. A footman brings a cloak the color of velvet shadows. He settles it on your shoulders like a blessing. You pull the hood up and the world becomes a small room where your breath is the lamp. The corridors hold a dim gold light. Candles wear collars of glass to keep the flames steady when doors open and sigh. From somewhere below, a tuning note floats up like a kite on a smooth wind. It is the string section finding the center of the evening. You let the sound pull you down the grand stair. The carpet receives you with quiet confidence. The chandelier above holds a galaxy of tiny suns. It drops their glow like soft rain over everyone climbing and descending. At the base of the stair, the steward bows and names you as present to the night. The doors to the ballroom stand open, and music comes through them in warm waves. You pause before the threshold to feel the edge. Another breath. Then you enter. The ballroom keeps its own weather. The air is fresh and bright. Candles bloom in tiers along the walls. Mirrors multiply the light into gentle abundance. The floor is a wide lake of polished wood, where footsteps make brief constellations. People turn as you arrive, not with a gasp, but with recognition. You are part of the room, as necessary as the music. You nod to the elders who balance age with mischief. You smile at children who try to hold still and fail in small, joyful ways. You move slowly along the margin, listening with your eyes. A string quartet inhabits a shallow shell of a stage. Their bows move like long breath. A flute steps out of the lines and draws a curve of silver through the air. The conductor watches not the notes, but the people, as if his job is to keep their hearts at the right temperature. Servants pass with trays of cool water and cups of tart punch. You take a sip, and the citrus wakes you with a friendly nudge. Your partner for the first dance approaches with hands that hover in good manners. You nod. The musicians choose a waltz that knew softness before it knew time. You step together, and the world narrows to a circle that keeps opening. You count at first, then you stop counting because the floor tells you where to go. You travel the room like a planet around gentle stars. Your skirt learns where to drift. Your feet learn when to stay and let the music move through you. Laughter arrives at the edges of the rhythm and does not disturb it. Between dances, you visit a window that shows a portion of evening sky. The moon is not full, but it is sufficient. Clouds wear a low shine as if they have been polished for the event. You rest your palms on the cool marble sill and feel steadier than before. Someone brings a plate with 3 strawberries that taste like the color red. You eat one and share the other 2 with a pair of shy cousins who have not yet danced. They go out after, braver for the fruit. New music begins, a set of country steps that pull people into squares and lines. You join because it asks for everyone. A farmer bows with the dignity of fields at harvest. A baker spins with surprising grace. A child stands on her father's feet, and they become one dancer with 4 happy arms. You laugh with strangers who are not strangers for long. The figures weave like braids. You move away and return to new partners who greet you with eyes first, then hands. When the set ends, the room is brighter, as if the floor had learned a new word. Food appears in a quiet miracle. Platters of roasted roots that carry the sun, small pies packed with herbs, slices of cheese that cut like silk, rolls that steam when broken, a clear soup that tastes like courage, made gentle. At the long table, a grandmother teaches a little boy how to hold a spoon with care. You sit with them for a course and learn a family joke that does not need explanation. You leave the table lighter than you arrived, in all the ways that matter. The steward taps a glass. A floor show begins, not exotic, just dear. 3 friends sing a simple folk song their parents taught them. A pair of acrobats weaves quiet geometry in the corner, hands finding hands with no fear. A young poet stands by the window and reads 4 short lines that land and stay. People applaud with their eyes and their palms and their shoulders. Praise moves through the room like a soft river. Later, the musicians soften the lights with notes that fall like late snow. You take a turn on the balcony that wraps the room like an arm. A friend from the village finds you there. She has daisies in her hair and laughter in her pocket. You talk about the day as if you are replacing puzzle pieces in a picture you both know. You make plans to bring tea to the clinic tomorrow. You make plans to bring the bookbinder a new story. The knight listens and nods. Back inside, the musicians invite a circle dance where each person steps to the center and shows one small joy. A cobbler makes a quick knot that will not slip. A weaver ties a ribbon into a heart. A stable boy whistles a bird call, and a bird answers through the open door. When your turn arrives, you do not sing or spin. You place one hand over your heart and lead the room through a slow, deep breath. Everyone follows. For a moment, the whole ballroom breathes as one creature. The music follows suit, and the chandeliers look brighter for it. Midnight edges closer without menace. The clock on the far wall measures time by kindness shared. The steward announces that the lantern walk will begin for anyone who wants a slice of quiet. You do. The music softens to a hum as people lift small lanterns from a long table. The wicks catch with tiny sounds like mice nibbling. You lead toward the great doors, cloaked again. The night meets you with cool hands and clear eyes. The courtyard has been dressed for the light. All along the fountain and the arches, little flames bloom at careful distances. The sky above keeps its stars loose and welcoming. You walk, shoes whisper on stone. Voices fall to a low braid that does not pull. Around you, the lanterns drift like warm fireflies that have learned patience. A child holds her lantern high as if to show it the moon. The moon nods in old approval. The procession moves toward the garden paths, not a parade, just a shared direction. At each bend, someone tells a short memory. The seamstress remembers the winter that taught everyone how to knit. The baker remembers the storm that took the bridge, and the hands that made a new one of ladders and rope. The gardener remembers a drought that grew tender speech between people. The stories settle in the shrubs and stones, and on the sleeves of everyone walking, a light dust of courage that will not wash off with rain. You arrive at the long lawn. Musicians have followed, now playing soft and low, as if their bows are moths. The dancers who wish for one last turn find each other. You set your lantern on the grass and watch. A father lifts his sleepy child and sways in small circles. Two old friends laugh at feet that remember and forget in equal measure. Your own feet shift in time with nothing to prove. A cool breeze passes and every flame leans the same way for a moment, a delicate field of light bowing to the wind. When the walk ends, people return their lanterns and speak their good nights as if placing stones, one by one, to build the path to tomorrow. A final piece plays inside, and those who remain choose to stand rather than sit, because standing can be a kind of listening that holds the players up. You stay until the last note finds its home. Then the lamps rise a little and the room exhales. A small hour has come. You thank the musicians. You thank the stewards who kept the water cold. And the windows open. You press a tiny coin into the hand of the page with the perfect laces and tell him that knots are a quiet form of magic. He nods as if he has been waiting to hear someone say it. At the door, you take one more look at the floor, where so many feet have traced kindness. The mirror catches a soft version of you and gives it back with care. You step into the corridor. Night goes with you like a shawl. Your room is a calm harbor after a bright sea. You set your bracelet by the brush and hang your cloak where it can breathe. You sit at the window, hair unpinned to its easy shape. You write one sentence in your notebook. I danced with a room until it remembered to breathe. You close the book and blow out the lamp. The dark is sweet and steady. Sleep will come later. For now you stand on the balcony and thank the moon for doing her work so gently. The castle sleeps lightly, like a cat on a warm wall. You wrap a shawl over your shoulders and take a small basket with a slice of bread, an apple, and the notebook that keeps your softer thoughts. The corridor is dim and kind. The door to the stair is cool under your palm. You descend to the garden with a quiet that feels chosen. The air outside is velvet and salt, though the sea is far away. Stars salt the sky. The fountain speaks in a language you almost understand. You cross the courtyard, lantern unlit. The moon gives enough. You know the garden paths by heart now. Roses rest with their heads slightly bowed. The willow keeps secrets in green curtains. The hedges breathe out the day and pull in the night. You pass the beds where children parted soil and set tiny seeds. A line of small signs reads "Good night" in chalky letters that will rinse away in rain and return with hands. You smile and give the signs a soft nod as if they were soldiers off duty. Past the long border, a gate offers a way to the older part of the grounds, the piece that keeps its wild hair. You know the key. It is not metal. It is a word said kindly to the latch where the wood has learned to listen. You say it and the gate opens a finger, then a palm. The path beyond is not neat. It wanders. You wander with it. Your slippers pick up dew. The hem of your shawl tastes the plants and learns their names. A moth plays in the loose strands of your hair and is gone, leaving a note you cannot read but understand anyway. You arrive at the secret garden, which is not truly secret, only forgotten by those who hurry. The wall has a door that does not need a key. It needs a hand to push and a mind to slow. You do both. Inside, the night gathers like family. Figs keep their sweet breath. Jasmine unrolls its message, white syllables on dark air. Night-scented stock gives a soft hush that knows how to move the heart away from noise. Moonflowers have opened wide and unafraid. They look like small faces practicing kindness. You set your basket on a bench worn smooth by people who came before you to rest their better thoughts. The bench makes a good listening post. You break the bread and place a corner on the low wall for whoever is hungry. The rest you eat slowly. The apple follows, crisp and cool. You chew until the fruit is gone, and the taste remains. You open your notebook and write, "I am a guest of the night." The ink sits black and sure. You close the book so the sentence can breathe. There is a small pond at the far edge, no bigger than a wagon. It holds the moon like a careful hand. You kneel and look in. The water shows you as the night sees you, edges softer, eyes deeper, breath a moving light. You do not judge, you greet. "Hello," you whisper. Your reflection mouths the word back with a kind delay. A frog appears on a stone and gives one syllable of approval. You take off your shoes, roll your stockings, and let your feet hang in. The cold is a truth that asks for nothing. You give it your attention. That is enough. The garden keeps a tree with a low branch that has learned how to be a seat. You climb onto it with care. The bark supports you with old understanding. Leaves shift, stars blink, the night hums. You listen. When you listen this way, you can hear small things. A snail tapping its way along a stem. The tiny click of a beetle realizing it has reached the end of a blade of grass. The soft stamp of a deer farther off. The exhale of your own heart learning patience. From the wall comes a stirring, a brush of movement like the thought before words. A fox slips through. The same bold scholar of twilight you bowed to in the forest. It holds your eye for a moment, then noses the bread on the wall, polite as a gentleman at a sideboard. It takes the piece and sits to eat it, neat and focused. When it is done, it licks its whiskers and looks at you with the calm weight of the present. You make a small bow again. The fox stands, stretches long, and vanishes through a hole of ivy that closes behind it as if nothing ever passed. With the fox gone, you climb down and walk the inner path. It rings the garden like a moon's orbit. Along it, someone long ago set 4 small statues. You greet each. The first is a child with a bird on her finger, both looking surprised that the other is real. The second is a woman with a book in her lap, eyes on the page, mouth smiling at a sentence no one else will read. The third is a man with empty hands, as if he is finally fine with not holding everything. The fourth is a pair of hands cupped together, offering water that is stone and still quenches something. EI. In the corner near the fourth statue grows a tangle of herbs that only wake at night. You press a fingertip to a leaf and then to your wrist. The scent moves through your pulse like a soft messenger. You sit on the ground with your back to the wall and let the stone keep you upright. The world narrows to dark and near. Your breath finds the slow of two. You hum a line from the weaver's song. The line returns to you with a new note, the answer of crickets. Your hum and their hum make a braid. It is a small, strong rope you could climb if you needed to. Clouds pass and uncover a brighter draft of stars. You think of the ballroom chandelier and smile. The sky has always been better at that kind of show. You whisper thanks to the music that carried the room earlier. You whisper thanks to the lanterns that kept the wind. You whisper thanks to your own feet for their honest work. Gratitude walks the circuit of your bones and returns to rest like a bird that knows where to land. Not every night keeps its edges smooth. This night does. Your thoughts arrive one by one like shy guests. You greet each and let it sit until it has said what it needed to say. The thought about the child at the clinic who asked if Brave hurt. You answer in your mind now, sometimes, but it does not stay sore. The thought about the gardener who showed you how to listen with a fingertip. You send her a promise to water without fuss. The thought about the page and his perfect laces. You send him a ribbon, in imagination, the exact color of morning. You walk again. The moonflower bed shines. A hedgehog waddles from the border with a look of urgent purpose. You stop. It crosses your path with dignity and disappears into a leaf cave that someone helped build with small hands. You hope it finds a feast of polite bugs. The world is complete for a minute, a circle that needs no correction. At the far wall, a door opens to a narrow stair that rises to a rooftop walk above the garden. You climb. The stones are warm from the day and cool where the night has taken them back. At the top, the whole of the secret turns into edges and patterns. The beds become shapes. The paths are silver threads. The pond a coin. The wind speaks a little louder. You sit with your back against a chimney and let the roof hold you the way a friend does when words would be in the way. From here you can see the village, lights like handfuls of scattered seeds. You can see the river collect the moon in long pieces. You can see the line of the forest, a sleeping animal with good dreams. An owl passes below you like a shadow remembering its own shape. You stay until your hands grow cool, then you climb down and return to the earth's scale. You lift your lantern from the bench and light it. The wick takes the fire gently and returns a room you can carry. You set the lantern on the ground and watch its ring of light make a small stage. You step into it and practice 3 careful steps, then 3 steps back, then a turn. Your dress says yes. Your breath says yes. You practice a bow to no one and to everyone who might need one later. The flame nods. It likes your rehearsal. You blow the lantern out and sit in the dark again. It is darker now. The moon has rolled toward the edge. A peal of laughter arrives from far off and dissolves before it reaches you. You are not lonely. You are alone the way a shore is alone, touching everything and holding its line. You lie back on the grass and watch the stars through the basket handle held above your face. The curve frames a little sky that is yours for a minute. You lower the basket and the sky returns to share. When you rise, dew has written its silver initials on your shawl. You draw the fabric close and feel no wish to hurry. Your steps return you to the door, the gate, the path that knows your name by weight and rhythm. You cross the courtyard past the sleeping fountain and the roses that breathe a sugar night. The castle door uses its softest hinge. Inside, candles drowse in cups of glass. A guard nods and does not ask questions, because night belongs to trust. Upstairs, you pause at the window that faces east. The horizon suggests a future. It is not yet light. It is not yet anything but plan. You press your palms to the cool stone and make one promise: to keep the garden as safe as it kept you. You go to your room. The jasmine has opened while you were out. That is the nature of it. Its scent is a low song. You place your notebook on the table and do not open it. The new sentences can wait until morning. You slip into bed and bring the garden with you, the heady hush riding your breath until sleep takes the reins. Sleep finds you in little pieces before it gathers you whole. You turn your face to the pillow and think of the ball's slow breath, the circle that held everyone, and how the garden is another kind of ballroom where leaves lead and crickets keep time. You picture the lanterns bowing to the wind like tall grass. You picture the page practicing his knots under his blanket until he can tie one with his eyes closed. You picture the fox teaching its kits to listen before they hunt. The room grows wider and the bed grows softer. Somewhere a watchman turns at the corner of a corridor and looks out a window because something told him to witness the moon. Down in the kitchen, the last ember gives a sigh and becomes a lesson about patience. The fountain forgets to be a fountain and for a few minutes becomes simply water going where it can. You sleep through all of it, busy only with healing and the simple work of making tomorrow a little taller. The jasmine breathes its cool promise into your hair. The sheets fold you like a letter that will be delivered to morning without smudge or crease, ready to be read by light. You turn, breathe once more, and the night tucks you in like a story that loves endings. Morning will come with soft hands and bring another day, but you do not rush it. You wake in your own time to the quiet pride of sunlight learning the room. You stretch the way a cat does when it knows the room is safe. The jasmine moves the air with a whisper. You stand and open the balcony, and the fresh world steps in. Your life as a princess is not a crown or a rule. It is a rhythm. It is the shape of listening you carry down halls and through markets and under trees. It is the way you open a door and ask what is needed. It is the way you sit and the way you rise and the way you leave something better than you found it. That is all. That is everything. You dress simply. You put on shoes that remember kindness. You tuck your notebook into its pocket. You water the jasmine and tell it today's plan in a few small words. Garden, clinic, music, bread. The plant does not answer, but the leaves look pleased. You brush your hair and choose no jewels. Your face is enough amid the day's good work. You open the door and the corridor greets you by name. You walk with easy steps. Some days will be soft, some will be sharp. You will meet both with the same steady breath. You will make tea and carry boxes and laugh in the wrong place and then the right place. You will read a page and close the book and go outside to let the page keep living. When you pass the mirror, it shows you what the night already knew. You are not made of glass. You are made of threads that hold. You are made of hands that offer and feet that return. You are made of rooms that breathe easier because you entered and left them with care. You are a person who gets to help you step into the morning. Somewhere a bell makes a bright note. Somewhere a gate opens on the first customer. Somewhere a fox sleeps in a hedge. And a hedgehog dreams of a feast. The village wakes like a friendly engine. The castle hums like a calm hive. You carry the lantern of your attention into whatever comes. This is your life as a Disney princess. It is not far away. It is here, in the small kind acts that turn into a day, that turns into a year, that turns into a story you will tell with your whole body. It is in the thanks you whisper to the sky, and the thanks you write in a note, and the thanks you become without words. Close your eyes for one breath, then open them. The world waits, ready to be gently ruled by the way you love it.